My name is Mario Depeine, and I'm here to say enough is enough. I'm here to talk about Michael Brown and what has happened to another young black man in America. This is not a problem that will go away by itself. This is not a problem that we can wish away. This is not a problem that we can simply say does not exist. Racism in America is alive and well. It is costing the lives of many young black men, women, and children. It is a disease that needs to be addressed in America. There are many in America who despise the whole idea of talking about racism. They vilify those who talk about racism. They malign them because they don't want to deal with the fact that racism is in America. The amazing thing is that those who are victims of racism are the ones who will talk about it and will discuss it, and those who empathize with those victims will also talk about it. I'm really excited and encouraged to see that in Ferguson, Missouri, it's not just blacks who are protesting, it's blacks, whites, people from all different backgrounds. And really that's what it should be, because this is an American problem. This is not a problem for only the black community or the brown community or Hispanic community. This is a problem for all of America. And it's sad to see that people are still angry with people who talk about racism openly. Everybody in America has a right to speak openly about the problems of America, because when we are in denial, we will never address the problem. When you look at what has happened, even in our recent history, it shows us that racism is alive and well in America. We look at stories about Emmett Till. I can just go through a list of young men who were killed because of racism. Emmett Till was one of them. Amadou Diallo, Sean Bell, Trayvon Martin, James Brissett, Timothy Stansbury, Wendell Allen, Ramarley Graham, Oscar Grant, Patrick Dorisman, Troy Anthony Davis, who was first incarcerated at 21 and was eventually executed at 43. All these people that I listed died before the age of 30, and they were all black. And that's just a handful of the many that have been killed, and there are many we never heard about in the news and media. And so I applaud the people who are protesting in Ferguson, Missouri, and protesting all over the U.S., because this is something that must be addressed. We cannot pretend that racism has gone away with the abolishment of slavery. Racism is still in America. It's still a problem, and it will continue to be a problem, but we have to address institutional racism. When you have the police in New York or Missouri or Florida or wherever in this country feeling like they are totally justified at shooting at a young black man 6 times, getting 6 bullets in one person who was unarmed, what drives an individual, a law enforcement officer, to do that to a young black man? And I believe it happens because of the nature of racism. I believe it's because that system, the American legal system, is supported by racism. There's some good, but there's also a lot of bad that needs to be addressed in the American legal system. We saw that in the case of Trayvon Martin, and we saw it in a lot of other cases where the system is rigged, pretty much rigged against blacks. Nobody's trying to find some kind of scapegoat. It really bothers me when people decide that, oh, he's pulling out the race card. It's no race card. It's a life dealt with. It's a life lived with the awareness that there is racism. Now, I'll tell you this. Racism did not keep me from graduating from Princeton University with a BA in psychology. Racism did not keep me from being a public school teacher for 10 years. Racism did not keep me from working in the financial sector. There are a lot of things that racism did not keep me from doing. But the reality is, racism is something I've had to contend with for the whole time. And it really bothers me when people want to prescribe to groups that are upset and oppressed and telling them, okay, this is how you need to protest. Protest this way, don't protest that way. Of course, I don't condone violence. Not at all. But when you see people who are angry and all you want to tell them is, hey, control yourselves. Hey, be quiet. Hey, get in the corner. Hey, stop walking the streets. Hey, stop protesting. Don't protest at this time. People are getting tired of seeing their family members, their friends, their cousins, their sons, their daughters being shot down when they should not have been. In America, there is a saying, there's a joke floating in America that says, I got stopped because I was driving while black. That's actually something that's very well known in the community. Oh yeah, what happened? Oh, I got stopped while driving while black. Well, now, what was the person's offense when he got killed? Oh, I think he was black. And then the other thing is, I don't even have to know the whole fact of Michael Brown. It's the same story all throughout. The young black man gets killed. The police finds a story. They dig up all the dirt they can find about that person. They demonize the person as if to say, okay, because he had a record, he deserved to die. Or he looked like he was a suspect, so he deserved to die. Why don't you just say it very plainly? He was black and he deserved to die. That's really what the system has become. It has become normal for young black men to be killed just because they're black. And you know what? I'm not even saying that these guys who have done it are necessarily racist. But what I believe is happening is that these people who have done it, they have believed the lie. They have believed the stories that the media has portrayed about black men, black people, people of color. And they have believed the fears and the possible threats. And so they go there. They deal with young black men like we need to kill them before they kill us. But when you're killing young black men because they're just black, that's a problem. You cannot justify that. You cannot justify that. And the funny thing is that those who are experiencing the racism see it very clearly. And those who want to shut people down and shut them up and say, hey, stop saying there's racism, are the ones who don't know what racism is. They don't know how it works, or they themselves are the perpetrators of racism. When you look at these families who are suffering, who are crying because they've lost a loved one, and all you could say is, well, he was a suspect anyway. Well, he did martial arts, or well, he was threatening. There's something wrong with this system. We must talk about this. You see, when there was the Emancipation Proclamation and slavery was officially abolished, there needed to be another step that should have been taken, and it still needs to be taken. There needs to be talk about, now that this has happened, what has it done to the psyche of America, and what does it do to the psyche of our citizens? Because you have people living in the country who know, based on the laws and what law enforcement is allowed to get away with, they know that they are treated as second and third class citizens. But when will this stop? When will this be addressed? People need to protest all over this country so that this will stop. It needs to be very uncomfortable, and it needs to become very comfortable to discuss racism in America. No one should feel like they cannot talk about it when they know it's there. We should not have another Amadou Diallo. We should not have another Trayvon Martin. We should not have another Sean Bell. We should not have another Michael Brown. We should not have another Victor Steen. We should not have another death like this for us to say there's a problem in America. There is a serious problem in America, and every American is being affected by this problem. Some are being affected where they benefit from it, and many are being affected because they're being hurt by it. They should stop saying that there is no racism. When I've experienced racism, I didn't walk around going, I'm just looking for racism so that I can find a reason to not do any work. I'm just looking for racism so I can look for a reason to not be motivated. Racism is an added burden to my life and other people's life who experience it. It is not a scapegoat. A lot of people experience racism while they're trying to get ahead. And they have to overcome that challenge to still get ahead. Many blacks and Latinos and people of color have overcome racism and have gotten ahead. But there is an institutional racism in America that must be addressed, and it must be addressed vigorously. If it is not addressed vigorously, we will continue to see the same narratives. We will hear stories. Another young black man has been shot and he was not armed. And then the police comes out. Oh yeah, by the way, he was a suspect. Oh, by the way, he had a record from 5 years ago. So what? Even if he did have a record, even if he did do something 5 years ago, a year ago, that does not justify you killing him. You are not the judge, the prosecutor, the jury, and the executioner all at once. How can we allow that in America? Enough is enough. This must stop. And the more people that challenge this, the more likely it will change. We need to be a part of the solution and not support a system that continues to kill young people, young children, and all over this country. There needs to be compassion for everybody in this country, not just for whites in suburbia, not just for the rich. Everybody needs to get compassion from everybody else.
Into history.
Have some compassion, because too many of these kids, too many of these young people are being shot. And I call it being shot into history. They're just being shot and thrown out as if their lives did not ever matter, as if their lives do not count. And their lives are precious. Their lives count. Black, white, doesn't matter. Everybody's life counts.
They shot you into history. Trayvon talked on the phone and never got home. Amadou got to his door, then was simply no more. Sean was set for his wedding day, then his life was snatched away. Taken away. Just snatched away. Taken. Trayvon Martin, Amadou Diallo, Sean Bell, we call your name. Life's not the same. You're dead and gone. Who comforts your family? They shot you into history. They shot you into history. Black is beautiful, old saying but true. You are